Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. With me on the show this week is adult star and OnlyFans creator, Addyson James. Addyson has been in the mainstream adult world for just under 2 years. We're going to talk about all of the things that she has done. We're going to talk her first anal experience. She is all set up to do her first DP scene. She worked with legend Kieran Lee. She talks all about it. Squirting is something that she does. The first time she squirted on her dog. She tells the story. It was an accident. But we also talk about her service as a military veteran and how she wants to get with all the other military veterans, and there's some heavy hitters, some big names in the adult industry, and do a military veteran scene. And at the end of the episode, not in the beginning, I talked to Addyson about how she got involved in the porn game. You guys are going to love Addyson. You're going to love this episode. Have I ever lied to you? No, I have not ever lied to you. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Addyson James.
This week's conversation.
Addyson James, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's wonderful to finally be here.
Yeah. So backstory, and I won't tell the whole thing because it's not whatever, but we have been trying to make this happen for a long time, and they've heard me say that, but this was a saga because we had sort of missed each other kind of at AVN, and then I was like, you were supposed to be on the show, and then whatever happened. And then so we tried again and whatever. And like, I didn't know, when I turned on my studio, if you'd be there or not. And bam, there you were. So it's been a long time coming. You're finally here. Welcome to the show. How are you feeling? I know you're a big sports fan. It's March Madness.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Yeah, it's March Madness, so I currently have the BYU and Alabama game on, and tonight we have Duke versus Arizona, so that's going to be really exciting. I don't really watch basketball throughout the season, but I love March Madness. I think it's really fun.
Yeah.
But my first love for sports is really football. That's the sport that I love, that I watch just about every single game during the season.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we know, you're sitting there, you've got the games on around you. I'm sure that I'll keep your attention enough to have a fun interview that the fucking viewers and the listeners of the show know how the party goes. But let's just say, like, and they should know who you are, but let's say they don't. Let's say, they got into a jet ski incident and maybe they lost that part of their memory or something and they don't know who you are. Could you talk about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I am a mainstream porn actress. I've been doing that it will be 2 years in July. Nice.
And you're also an OnlyFans content creator. So OnlyFans Fansly loyal fans.
Loyal fans.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sex Panther. All
we
the
love
things.
That. How active are you in mainstream? Obviously, it's really interesting because there does seem to be, like, I believe that both mainstream porn and content creation, we'll call it, are like symbiotic. I feel like they feed off each other. They sort of need each other at this point, right? And if you have a favorite porn star, you want to see their Fansly, their OnlyFans, whatever. If you have a favorite OnlyFans girl, you want to see her, or guy, whatever. You want to see them in mainstream or whatever. How active are you in both worlds?
So I'm really active. I will say it's harder to be active on my fan sites when I'm shooting. If I'm in LA for a week and I'm shooting 4 or 5 days in a row, I mean, those are 10, 12-hour days usually. It's harder to play catch up and, really keep up with my fan sites. But that happens for all of us. But I'm very active. A lot of my fans, obviously found me through mainstream and then have come over to my platforms. so yeah, so it's been a really fun adventure.
Yeah, it sounds like it. What's like the number one thing that you get requests for on OnlyFans?
Believe it or not, they love my red fingernails.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So I did, I was with a company and mainstream, and I just happen to have red nails, and I don't do red nails often. And I think it was shit. Like they were like, Twitter was like, red nails. Like, so I've been doing more red nails because they love it.
Wow.
And it's, it's a color that it's very classic, but not a lot of people do red anymore. There's a lot of the French, or, a lot of girls are doing just different designs, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I kind of I kind of do white, pink, and red. Those are kind of my colors that I do for my nails. But the fans love the red nails.
So what do they want? So they want you to like jerk someone off using, or like what do they ask for?
They just ask for the red nails because I think they like the contrast of the color, especially if I'm with like a black eye. The red really pops against the skin tone. Sure. So I think they love that contrast.
Wow, that's crazy. So that's like your big thing on OnlyFans. I was not expecting that, and I love that's the answer, because
it's super simple. I mean, it's not it's not like a big thing and very odd, but they love it, and it's easy for me to do.
Yeah. And we're not, and I'm not going to obviously I'm not yucking anyone's young. I'm not yucking anyone's yum. Listen, it's been a long day. And I'm not kink shaming, but let's call a spade a spade. Have you had any strange, out of the ordinary requests on OnlyFans?
I would say I haven't had anything strange. I definitely, you've got those people who request race play, which I don't go near that. That's not anything I'm willing to touch. I'm not down for that. So I wouldn't call that weird, but I do get that quite frequently. And those are just things I don't go near.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you never know. And I think sometimes with you guys, it's got to be surprising because some people are just into certain things with certain people. But then you have these big moments in mainstream and which bleeds over into OnlyFans and all the other platforms where it's a step taboo or a fucking daughter swap, mom swap kind of thing, or people want to be pissed on and shit like that. So you never know what you're gonna. I mean, are you getting any of those requests?
I mean, I get I already do a lot of stepmom stuff. That's the MILF stepmom role is really what I play. So I do get a lot of requests for that. I don't do as much of that on my OnlyFans. I love playing the role when I'm mainstream, but I have to tell you, I love these I call them boys because they are literally boys. The first time that I was with a 20-year-old who was 3 days away from being 21, I looked at him and I couldn't keep a straight face because he literally was a baby. I mean, I'm 45 and he had the pale baby skin and I felt like he's fresh out of the womb. And I was like, what am I doing? Oh my God. And so it's actually a little bit harder for me to do that because to take it seriously is, I just want to laugh the whole time.
Well, and we have, it's just me here, but I have a lot of performers and the voices in my head, but I have a lot of performers that when you do get into the more taboo stuff, like the stepmom or the brother, sister kind of thing or whatever, they usually break down into three categories. One, I'm into it. It's fun to explore taboos. It's horny. I love it. Two, I don't, I'll do it, but it's not a big, I'm not really into it. And then three, no, I don't want to do it. So where do you fall on that?
I would say I'd fall in number one because, it is fun and interesting. I would say it just probably took me a couple times to really get used to the fact that I was working with, pretty young men. They're of age, obviously, but they're much younger. And in my real life, that's not typically what I go for. I typically go for the same age or older. So that's just a little different. But again, everyone I've worked with has been lovely. And, I appreciate those male performers so much.
Yeah. Well, do you find that younger men in porn are they good? Do they fuck well? Are they good lays? Or do you have to
I
sort
mean,
of
it depends. I had one a couple weeks ago who wasn't any good. He scratched me on the inside. He had pain on my face. It was a pretty horrible experience.
yeah.
I did my part to keep it together, but the producer could clearly see that I don't know that this guy's going to make it,
Oh, yeah.
which is sad. And then, and I think with any guy, you can have the days where you just are struggling getting that pop shot,
Oh, yeah.
and I've been on set before where we were all done and it took an hour for him to get the pop shot and they didn't want to do a fake one. So just had to sit around and wait.
So, yeah, see, and this is the thing that people don't realize about porn is that sometimes it can take a very long time to get the fucking cum shot, right? So
Yeah.
was this like a facial thing that you were waiting for and you were kind of like, whatever, was it a
It was a cream pie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
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 And so for that hour, he just jerks off
He just jerks off, a couple times, I told him, I said, if there's anything I can help you with at any point, I always offer, but I don't, I don't just jump in and just do something for an hour. Like that's just not what I'm going to do. But if there's something I can help you with, or, that's going to get you there sooner, this poor young man, I felt bad. He said there was some confusion with his schedule and he had actually had sex with his girlfriend that morning.
Oh God.
So it ruined like his whole day. I mean, he felt awful. He was mortified, because he showed up late because he didn't think he was supposed to work. He'd already had sex. So I know there was a lot of pressure on him. So I was just, staying cool and like, hey, whatever I can do to make it better for you, I'm here. Let me know if you don't need anything from me until it's time. I'll just sit here and wait.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help anybody to get impatient or anything like that. It just puts more pressure. So I really, just going with the flow and, making sure that your scene partner is comfortable and getting what they need as well, is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, did he take you up on any offers? Like, were you like dirty talking or like?
And we're like, let's go. Like the camera people are like waiting because there was actually another scene they needed to start right behind us. So now they're an hour late because they do 2 scenes a day in the same location. So the other group was already there waiting on us to leave. So,
yeah, that's wild. Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. Like they're all outside, like they're waiting for the cum shot. Like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's like that fucking ad from back in the day, like he's waiting for the ketchup, but it's, more of they're waiting for the cum shot. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that happens just to like normal civilian dudes,
Absolutely.
that can happen to me too when I'm like having sex or even like fucking jerking off sometimes. It's like if your brain's fucked up, if your brain is whatever, the more you think about, oh God, I'm not coming, the more you're not going to come. Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And, and these guys, people ask, how come there's not a lot of male performers? Well, it's because it's really hard to be a male performer. I mean, some of these guys, they're shooting their daily stuff, but then they're doing OnlyFans. So, they're trying to do 2-3 pop shots a day. Well, they can. And then there's going to come a time where they can't do that anymore. So it becomes fake pop shots, and they use medication and things like that. So, kudos to them. It's not easy. It's not easy for them. So whatever I can do to make their job a little bit easier, I'm happy to help.
Well, look at you. You're the fucking consummate professional that you are. Yeah.
I try to be.
No, I think that's awesome because a lot of people would get frustrated. We've had people on the show where they've said they've had to call in like a stand-in dude to come do the cum shot or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's never fun for anybody, And so I think people think a lot of things that aren't true about porn. But when you talk about, I mean, every guy is like, yeah, I want to be a porn star. When you think like you have to have sex in front of people, it helps if you you got to, and then you have to stay hard. That's two. Number two.
Right.
Number three, you have to be able to come on command, and it helps if your dick is a little bit above average or average or above or whatever the fuck.
Right.
So those are the four, and that can be really mind fucky, I think, for anybody.
I was just listening to something that a podcast that Isaiah Maxwell did, and he basically said if you're not 8 inches or above, it's pretty hard to make it because
yeah,
but you can't see it, which
right.
doesn't make for good porn, and that's the reality of it.
Yeah, and the other thing too, and this goes for OnlyFans as well, I think a lot of people find this out on their own, is a lot of the position, you just assume that it's like turn it on, start fucking. But a lot of the positions you do, like as a civilian person, you're literally just on top of somebody. Like that does not look good in porn because you can't see anything.
Correct. Yeah, it's very different. I tell people, I said, they're like, well, what do you do for, if you're on set for 8 hours? What do you mean it takes 8 hours? I said, the fucking takes 30 minutes. I said, that's the last part of the day. And I said, you're already tired. You already been there for 6 or 8 hours, depending on what your day looks like. Mm-hmm. And I said, then it's a choreographed. You're going to do missionary. You're going to do doggy. You're going to do reverse cowgirl, whatever. This is going to be the pop shot. And I said, and those are all, and I said, they don't necessarily feel good because you have to do them a certain way so the camera can get the angle so you can see the penetration. You can see the penis going in and out. It's not the same as in your daily sex life.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's not. And I think, it's definitely, I don't want to call it adjustments or whatever, but you have to take these things into account if you're thinking about starting your own OnlyFans or getting into porn, because I don't think it's really that difficult. Like if you want to be a dude in porn, I'm sure you could find a fucking, you know what I mean? Like
sure.
even if you're good, even if your dick's not that big and you could find three of the four you're good at, you can get into porn, but it's like, just know that it's not what you think. It's going to be, because it is entertainment. And I think you guys are athletes, and I think you have to have a level
100%.
of, yeah, like Olympics.
Some of those positions are hard. I mean, I'm sorry, reverse cowgirl for 3 to 5 minutes is fucking hard. And I think you remember I had back surgery in July. I had a herniated disc. So coming back, I mean, that was the hardest one for me to, I really had to work hard to get my stamina back on that and get my balance, because my balance really wasn't great from being off because I was just so afraid of slipping or something like that. But yeah, you have to be in shape. You have to, be flexible. You have to know your angles, all those things. So yeah, we're definitely athletes.
So when you had the surgery, were you then like, did you go to was there like a porn rehab where you do the positions without like on a ball or something? So
I did go to physical therapy, but I had some content creators that, that I work with that I was like, can we just practice this? We didn't record it or anything. And I was like, it's just so that I can, when I do get back on film, because I'm going to be shooting this time, that I'm feeling a little more confident about getting into that position. Just because I'm feeling stiff and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It just I wasn't quite the same.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, coming back from anything, but then having to go fuck in reverse cowgirl is kind of wild. Yeah.
My leg. So because of my herniated disc, which was almost 3 months, my left leg went completely dead. Basically, It felt like it was asleep for 3 months. And at the end, I was basically in a wheelchair and couldn't walk. My leg is probably only 70% better. So my foot is still permanently numb.
Wow.
No one can notice. So I have to be, sometimes, I have to be careful because I'll trip or something because I can't feel my foot.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I went into this saying I might not ever be able to perform again, because I don't know what's going to happen. I'm thankful that I can perform and it's not that big of a deal. And, I can make it work, but, it's just a little limitation I've had to make adjustments to.
No, yeah, that's crazy. And again, like your professionalism is fucking shining through, because a lot of people, I don't know, they'll, and I'm not going to like name names or anything, but I've had people that I've interviewed that are wonderful people, but the slightest thing and they're like done for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, you know, it's like they have an audience of people who want like, oh, where's all the new shit and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'll get to it and whatever. But for you to be like going back to set, well, one, like, you know, do you want me to jerk you off? Like helping your co-star get there. But then two, like having a crazy surgery, practicing that stuff. And then like your foot's numb and you're like Frankensteining back into the fucking porn game. That's fucking awesome. That's pretty professional.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Of course. So 2 years in the porn game, if I'm not mistaken, right?
In
so,
July,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So not even 2 years, but that's also feels like in some mindsets, that's like an eternity in porn. Some people just do like 2 months and then they're gone. Okay. What kind of mainstream scenes do you really enjoy? Like, what are you when you see the offer or you see the call sheet or whatever? Like, this is the kind of thing we're doing, or the script. What really like turns you on? Like, makes you horny? Like, oh, I can't wait to do this. It's gonna be great.
So, like I said, primarily, mostly everything that I do is stepmom or step something.
Right.
So that's a lot of what I do. You know, I really want to do some stuff with some, and I'll say older performers, meaning people like Manuel Ferreira, you know, Kieran Lee, things like that. But I want some like passionate, like just old school, passionate, kind of hardcore sex.
Yeah.
Like I want to do something like that. You know, I have not worked with anybody that's, you know, I think under 30. or over 30, excuse me. I think everyone I've worked with has been under 30.
Yeah.
So, you know, I hope that I get I've worked with, you know, people my age or older in collabs, but not on mainstream. So I would love the opportunity, you know, for that.
Yeah. So like, just like, is there anything like subject matter genre wise that you would die to do? Because if you're in if Stepmom is primarily your thing that you're being cast as, what do you like at night before you go to bed? Like, God, I wish I could just get a fucking blank. Like what is it? Because I think there's a lot of companies that obviously, I mean, look, and I say this almost every episode at this point, you could sit for 2 days on Pornhub and click refresh and MILF and Step, whatever, or Family, Taboo, whatever. Those are always going to be in the top 5, usually the top 3. They kind of switch positions sometimes, but they're always going to be there. And that, you know, good. That's great. We love that. We love the taboo shit or whatever. But if you could have any kind of genre, like what are we doing?
Well, I have a couple storylines that I, you know, like, so I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
And I really would love to do some kind of a feature that is about veterans. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but there's actually a lot of veterans in porn. There's a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, something that features veterans in porn would be really great. And I think it would actually sell really nicely, just because most everyone always wants to support veterans, you know?
Exactly.
So, and then the other one, you know, storyline that I would love, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for 15 years. And I would love to do, you know, some kind of a feature or storyline about a girl who, you know, with troubled past of alcoholism or drug use and things like that. And, you know, kind of getting out of that and this and that, but gets into porn, but doesn't fall back into the drugs and all that stuff. And, you know, it's kind of a, you know, it's a great story ending, but you wouldn't think that someone that was an alcoholic would go into porn because it seems kind of counterproductive.
Little cameo from the dog.
That's Duke. He's here.
Hi, Duke. Yeah, no, those two storylines are awesome. Thanks for your service. Number one. Number two, congratulations on that many years sober. That's wild.
Yeah, it is.
And neither one of those things is easy. I love these storylines. I think, especially the veteran one, like off the top of my head, I mean, you're right. Like you Kaylee
Alexis
Gunner,
Fox, Case,
Alexis. Mhm.
Corey Chase, Will Pounder,
Yeah.
Parker
What the fuck?
Ambrose.
Yeah.
You
So
know, so there's a lot of us.
yeah, and we need like some tanks, or
Yeah.
maybe like
I mean, I
something.
think it could be super, super sexy.
Yeah,
You know,
for
like
sure.
military. I just think it would be a blast.
Yeah, and you military motherfuckers are always super horny too. So
Yes, we are.
that means you're creative and you can come up with, you know, all kinds of fucking storylines that whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think like a good military setting, and I don't give a shit if it's like we're out in the desert with tanks, we're on an aircraft carrier, or we're at the fucking VFW hall. Like, I mean, that
Exactly.
could like do a gonzo blowout. Like that could be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear a lot. Jade Green also, although she's wasn't in the military, but she was like a humanitarian. She's got some
Yes, she was.
experience with military dudes, I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about the military blood that's just like, well, at least amongst the women, I think that there's just a different level of horny, which I think is really cool and really respectable.
I mean, I had never been hit on so much until I joined the military. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I came from a small town in Vermont. You know, I'm a little farm girl and this and that. And I go to San Diego and all of a sudden and I'm like, what is going on? And there was just men everywhere. And
yeah,
I had fun.
I would. Okay. All right. Well, since you brought it up, what kind of fun and how often? Like, was this you were sneaking off, or like was there a lot of different partners in the military, or what is that like?
There was a lot of different partners. I will say my first duty station when I was in San Diego, I won't say his name, but one of the guys that I would say was like kind of like the first guy that I was like kind of obsessed with, like whatever, because he wore the flight suit and, you know, he wasn't a pilot, but he worked on, you know, the helicopters. He taught me how to be on top. I didn't even know how to have sex on top. And he said, well, we're going to change that right now. So I am forever indebted to him because he taught me that, you know, so I'm always going to be grateful to him for that. And yeah, you know, I did on the aircraft carrier when I was on there, might have had sex in a empty jet engine.
Okay.
Yes. So, you know, there's all kinds of places you can sneak off to on the ship.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think, I mean, did you ever have experiences with more than one partner at once, or people watching or anything like that? Because I always hear a lot of that too.
The only experience I had was like, it was like me and two other girls and two guys. So we just kind of were all like doing it together, but I didn't have anything where like people were actually like, watching a show or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you guys are like partying together too, and it's like a little bit of alcohol goes a long way, and everyone's out for fucking whatever, and it's like, oh, whoops, like you know, yeah, you have to. I mean, you're all stuck together in that environment. There's a camaraderie level that's just in the. I totally get it. Yeah. Well, that's fucking awesome, and I hope that you can. Well, I hope someone hears this or sees this on the industry side and is like, we need to give Addison her fucking her military movie, you know, like
yeah. Don't steal my idea. I need to be in it.
Well, yeah, and I think, you know, like maybe, I mean, I don't know if you have any desire to produce or direct, but maybe you can fucking put it together. Shit.
Yeah, I've actually talked to one producer about it just a little bit. So it's something that I am looking further into as far as exactly which direction that storyline should go.
Yeah. Well, we love that. And when you pull it off, we'll have to have you back on the show. Yeah. So, okay. So I know you have some big things coming up in 2025. You told me something that's going to be happening, which is very exciting. I will let you make the big announcement of what's coming up.
Yes. So in May, I am going to do my first DP for mainstream. I mean, I haven't done it for anything. So this will be my first one ever. That's going to be with DP Diva. So I'm very excited. I actually did my first anal with DP Diva, and it was phenomenal. And it was with Milan, and he's a big guy, but it was a great experience. The company, everything was amazing. So they asked me to come back, and I think I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, tons of follow-up questions, and now the audience is excited, right? And they should be. So that was your first anal was with that same company?
Yes.
Okay.
Not like my first anal in my.
No,
I've done anal in my private life, but my first mainstream, yes.
Right. Okay. So how comfortable were you doing anal regularly in your private life, or like semi-regularly?
Semi-regularly, but it, a lot of it was just me masturbating.
Oh, okay.
With like toys. So a lot of it was just me doing myself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so did they approach you and say, "Hey, are you ready to do anal?" Or was it something you were searching to do?
Nope. They had reached out to me. And it was already on the radar of something that I was looking to do. Mm-hmm. And they just happened to reach out to me in the time frame that I was like, oh, I think I'm going to do it. It was last fall. And so they reached out to me and I said, yeah, I'm ready. And so I think I did it in like October of last year.
Okay. Were you nervous going into it because it was going to be filmed and all that?
I wasn't nervous for the filming. Filming doesn't make me nervous. I was nervous that I knew the guy was going to be big because I know the performers that he has on his set. So it was making sure that I was going to be ready enough to take what was going to be given to me and that it wasn't going to come across on set as me being in pain,
right.
And I think they, it was lovely. And again, they made me feel really comfortable. We warmed, everyone warms up, but like he really like sat with me and warmed up and just all the things. It was a really nice experience, actually.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Did you have an orgasm in that scene?
I mean, did you not see me squirt all over the place? Yeah, well, I'm a massive squirter. So literally.
Okay. So
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Can you just, because some people, they haven't done anal, right? And they haven't experienced what that feels like to come from anal either. So can you talk a little bit about the difference in orgasm, anal versus, regular vaginal sex?
For me, I think part of the reason why I'm a multi-orgasmer. I just go. But I'm very into my body, and I really love what I do. So I think that helps. And it's so funny because there's times where I'm like, I feel like I'm coming every 10 seconds because literally that's just what my body does. So sometimes it's like I can't stop it,
Right.
And I'm like, fuck, like. The orgasms are, I'm trying to think, are they, I guess they're different, but they're just, one's not better over the other,
Okay. Yeah.
I can orgasm anally, vaginally. I can also squirt an orgasm from giving a blowjob because I love giving a great blowjob. And if I get that perfect cock and just the right, whatever, I just flood everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's a gift, and I think, a lot of people, even like myself included, I think a lot of us aren't, or we lose touch with the brain body connection and the stress and the fucking, all the bullshit. So like that can really, you can't have like massive anxiety and an orgasm at the same time.
Correct.
So it sounds like although although you have your own stresses in life and things going on, it sounds like you really were able to get in touch with that connection and you're able to, fuck, every 10 seconds or 10 minutes or whatever you said, that's wild.
One of my collabs with Jonathan Jordan, who is an amazing producer and performer out of Southern Florida, I squirted and came 22 times in our collab. 22 times. And I think that was a 40-minute video. It just was nonstop.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, set days for me, and not that they're not for everybody else, but because of the amount of, I would say, coming, it's a lot more work. So at the end of the day, I'm spent. I'm physically exhausted. I have to drink tons of water, all the things. So if I'm shooting in LA for a week, I come home and I don't do anything for a couple days. I'll do online stuff, but I need a couple days to just recover because my body really, has taken a toll in the sense of it just needs some TLC and some downtime to recover.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to give your body that.
No, yeah, you're so right. Well, and that probably your recovery is probably what helps you stay in the capacity to fucking squirt and come 22 times. That's fucking insane. Which brings me to another question, and then I'll jump back because what's linear time and who cares?
Right.
But so when you leave set, right, and you're just quite literally drained of all your cum and squirt and whatever, and you're exhausted. I mean, you said 6 to 8 hour, 12-hour, whatever, you're coming, you're squirting, all the things, you're just done. Like, do you have a particular treat or like snack or meal that you allow yourself to have? Or do you go to Taco Bell? Like, what are we doing?
Oh God, you couldn't pay me to go to Taco Bell. It's disgusting. I mean, I'm in Arizona. I got to eat real Mexican food, please.
That's very true. That's very true.
Don't insult me. So
well,
you know what?
Guilty pleasures are a thing. Yeah.
The days that I'm hungriest are the days after anal days. Because as you know, there's a whole process we have to go through in a kind of a little to no eating, if any, process. So those days I'm like, I just want like a big bowl of spaghetti. Like I want all the carbs and just that's what I want. Other times, it might just be a nice greasy burger.
Yeah.
So it just depends, but I'm not like a salad girl. I don't eat salad. It's not in my vocabulary. So give me all the real food.
Yeah.
Give me a fat steak, baked potato, all the things.
Yeah.
So and typically I don't, I might eat a little something, before set, but I don't eat like a full meal. I try to have an empty stomach. I, obviously don't want to be bloated, things like that.
Yeah.
So, after those days, I'm pretty hungry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I asked. Alexis Fox actually and I have a little gag back and forth about how her thing is spaghetti and meatballs and shit. So
yes. Yes. Alexis and I talked about that. And when I told her, I was like, oh my God, you're the same way. She's like, that's what I love. And I said, me too. Yeah,
no, we love a good spaghetti, fucking post anal spaghetti.
Yes.
Absolutely. So how long did you know that your body was capable? Like, how long have you known, or when did you discover that your body was capable of having that many orgasms, and that the more in tune you were with it, the better they would be?
It's really interesting. Because I didn't have I didn't start having sex till I was 18. I was kind of a late bloomer. And then I didn't have my first orgasm till I was in the Navy. So I was 19, maybe 20 years old. And, because my mom never had the sex talk with me. So I always correlated, if you have an orgasm, it means that you love the person.
Oh,
so
God.
I don't, what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that feeling because I don't love this person. I'm just having fun. I mean, there's no correlation at all, but I didn't know that I didn't know that as, I was growing up into a young woman. It was funny. I was sexually active, having a good time, this and that. One day I was back home, laying on my couch. I think I was watching football on a Sunday, got horny, decided to break out a toy. Not this dog. I had my other dog before she passed. She was laying at the bottom of the couch. And I had never squirted in my life. I've seen it and I was like, that's the most magical thing I've ever fucking seen. I mean, I watched this girl who was 7 months pregnant and I thought her water had broke. She's like, no, that's just me. I was like, I'm laying on the couch and I guess I was just so relaxed and so in tune. What the fuck? And I'm like, I'm screaming, oh my God, what just happened? And I'm like, and then it started, that's where it started, and it always continued, and obviously when I started doing, a little bit of anal in my personal life, which was years later, I learned that I could, squirt that way as well and have an actual orgasm and enjoy it. And the same with the blowjob.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just a horny bitch. Let me tell you. I mean, I can fucking rub my vagina on my boyfriend's kneecap and I can fucking come all over. I mean, I'm just that's just who I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's incredible. And that's an incredible answer too. So you squirted all over your dog, which is wild. That's a wild
Yes.
sex party story, right there. The other thing I want to ask is so you were in person, you saw someone who was 7 months pregnant squirt?
Yeah. I had become a swinger. I was exploring the swinger community.
Okay.
Because I really wasn't dating. I wanted the outlet of like being able to have sex with people I trusted versus just some random hookup from the bar, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I was living back east, and I would drive to Boston once a month. So that's a 6-hour drive, and go to these swinger parties. I'd made a nice group of, 8 to 10 friends, whatever. And so we'd have things once a month. And so one of the couples that was there, she was like 6 months pregnant, and she wasn't having sex with anybody else except for her husband. That changed after the first baby. The second baby, I guess they didn't care as much. They did whatever they wanted. But that first baby, it was just him. But to actually experience, like seeing her, like she could do it with him just, smacking her butt. She could really come on command and things like that. And I was mesmerized. I was like, wow. Like I had no idea the body could do that. I had never seen it. It was pretty amazing.
No, that is amazing. And then the fact that she's 7 months pregnant with her husband at an event or a swingers party or whatever. That's dope. That's dope. That's really cool. Because I think, I mean, you're right. It is like sort of beautiful in a way that's like, it's horny, but it's also like real. And you get to witness that kind of like, two people just getting it. You know what I mean?
Well, and you could see how strong their connection was. Because clearly, that doesn't happen with just anybody. I think
right.
There's certain things that, I don't think I'm going to come on everybody's knee, but because my connection is strong with my boyfriend, I have that, I can come basically doing anything. But, to see that connection that they had together was really, really great.
Yeah. It feels like a trust thing, like an intimacy, a trust once you have that established. Yeah. I mean, that's why. Yeah, listen, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I think you hook up with like a random from the bar, you're not going to go right into like your darkest fantasies.
Right.
Oh, you might. I mean, I think I've tried that. I'm like, this doesn't feel right, but fuck it,
Oh, we've all tried it. And 9 times out of 10, you're fucking disappointed. And I'm like, I could have done better myself. Like, get the fuck out. So I don't do those anymore, ever.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so my next question, because you did mention this, you worked with somebody who kind of blew your mind. You mentioned him. And I don't know if that scene is out yet or whatever, but I'll let you tell the audience about it.
Sure. So, we have been trying to work together for almost a year. He's super busy. I'm busy. He lives in LA. I live in Arizona. But I finally, when I was in LA last time, got to connect and work with the one and only amazing Kieran Lee.
Yeah.
And I've watched some of his stuff. So I know some of his stuff can be a little more on the aggressive side, Mm-hmm. He's a lovely human. I mean, we sat and talked for an hour before we even took our clothes off. He just such a wealth of knowledge, just really a great human. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why he is who he is, because it was, of course, he didn't go super aggressive on me because he's never worked with me before and he wants me to be comfortable. But the things that he did in the way. It was a thing, and it was incredible. And I was just like, I'm forever changed, and I was like, can you please teach all the guys how to fuck like this? Because it's amazing. I think, a lot of us, we have a job, we go into that job, we do what we're supposed to do, and that's it. But he goes in and he gives 110% to every single performer. Yeah. And those extra things of the this and the that goes a long way, and you can see it on camera. And that scene is going to be released on my OnlyFans soon. So you'll have to keep an eye out. But it was fantastic. And I learned so much from him. He's an incredible performer. And men, go watch Kieran Lee and see why he is the man, because he is absolutely incredible, and we could all learn something from him.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, like, yeah, he's a more aggressive dude, and you said like he you know, he probably didn't go full on the first time with you, and see, that's like aggression and like being demeaning someone and being dominant and dominating someone when it comes with a level of intimacy, right? The whispering, the fingers down the neck, the like the way someone's grabbing you, it completely reframes oh my God, I'm being spit on or slapped or whatever. Like it's like, it sounds like you experienced that firsthand.
Yes, absolutely. And I totally agree. It's, you know, those extra things don't make it feel so dirty or demeaning or anything like that. And, you know, and I know that he's like a foot guy. So I said, you know, and he asked me my do's and don'ts, and, you know, basically I just said anal and, you know, whatever. And I didn't say anything about feet. If I was going to take someone's foot in my mouth, it was going to be Kieran Lee's. And that I did.
Nice. Oh my God.
Yes, so that was the first time for me. I was like, I'm giving it to Kieran Lee. You know, why not? He's amazing. I feel like I can trust him, and it was just fun.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a fucking blast. So that's coming when? Coming soon? You're not sure?
Coming soon, yeah. Probably I would say in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So by the time this is out, that'll be out. So that'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll time it right. Whatever. As soon as we're done recording, I'll try to lock in a somewhat of a date with you to drop this. But going back to the DP thing. So have you ever done a DP in your personal life? I
did one a few years ago.
Okay.
Neither one of the guys were like super big, which is great.
Sure.
So it was, you know, enjoyable in that sense. This will be a little bit different. Not that it won't be enjoyable, but both of these guys are going to have pretty big cocks.
Yeah.
So, but I'm ready for a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, like and I have no doubt that it's something I'll like, and if I don't like it, I don't ever have to do it again. You know, it's my decision what I decide to do.
Yeah.
So, but I'm ready for a challenge and to take on more things and really expand my portfolio.
Yeah, I mean that'll do it. Do you think that, do you think that well, when you did it in your personal life, did you have an orgasm, or was it not as intimate enough for you to get there?
No, I think I had an orgasm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was at a swingers club, you know.
Okay.
You know, before I was in porn, with two people that I had sex with, you know, with people I'd had sex with before. So I trusted them and all the things. So yeah, so we'll see. But now it's like my boyfriend is like, it's like him and a toy. That's what we're, you know.
Yeah, you got to fucking work it in there and practice and all that stuff. Yeah, because I always ask people who've done DP to explain how different the orgasm is there too. And that just, what I usually get is like, it's just so much more intense because you kind of have nowhere to go and you're sort of like forced into this wild experience.
So, you know, now that you say that, it is definitely more intense. And so typically, it is more intense in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I bet. And then when you have two dudes inside you and you want to jump up to come and you can't, you're kind of stuck. It like probably does something physical and mental. So, you know, God, I've asked some heavy hitters like on the AVN red carpet, like, oh, what's it like, you know, whatever, and their descriptions of it are just like bonkers. So that does definitely track. Okay, here at the end of the episode, Addyson James, how did you get into porn?
You know, it's so funny. Being in the Navy, you know, I was stationed in San Diego and overseas and then back in San Diego and on an aircraft carrier. I always did photo shoots. I said to myself, I'm going to be in Playboy one day. Like that was one of my dreams. Like I knew I wasn't going to be in the military forever. I said, I want to be in Playboy one day. So I'm going to do photo shoots. So my whole life since I joined the Navy, every few years I would do a photo shoot just for my own whatever. Playboy never happened. I never applied, you know, all the things, but you know, but I had this love for, beautiful erotic photography and beautiful women in Playboy. I always thought it was such a classy, beautiful magazine. The girls always looked lovely, so on and so forth. I did get into the lifestyle. I've been in the lifestyle for probably 15 years now. Mm-hmm. And I would say, that's really when I started to discover myself sexually and learned how to really masturbate by myself and enjoy it and realize that it's not an ugly thing and all the things and really learning how to be vocal about what I like and what I don't like and what feels good and talking and having open conversations about sexuality and all the things. And so, I was an esthetician and laser technician for 21 years. And actually, I just graduated last year with my bachelor's in business management.
Congrats.
But yet I chose to leave my career of 21 years, which I absolutely loved. But I was tired and I was burnt out. I'm like a therapist. And at the end of some days, I feel like I could barely drive home because my head was spinning in so many directions of all the issues everyone else was putting on me that I had enough. A company here in Arizona, they had reached out to my vanilla work Instagram for 3 years in a row. Lovely email just saying, we think you would be, think you're beautiful. We would love to shoot you. We shoot first timers. Obviously, you've never done anything. I was never against shooting porn. What I was afraid of is, am I ready to give up my career? Should this go somewhere? And I wanted to be on my terms. I didn't want to do something and be like, fuck, I'm not prepared for this. So for 3 years, I said no. They reached out to me every year for 3 years. And I was having crazy, wild, amazing sex, all the things. And then finally I had gotten out of a really bad, narcissistic, abusive relationship, mentally abusive. And I said, you know what? They had sent me another email and I said, I'm going to fucking do it. What do I have to lose? I'm 43 years old. This is your life. If this is, if it's a one and done, that's okay. If it's not, then we'll look at that when it, if that opportunity comes my way. I shot for them 4 times, which was amazing. And really, I remember after the first time I shot, going home and laying in bed thinking that was the most empowering thing that I'd ever done for myself. It was such a beautiful experience from the moment they picked me up to the moment that I got home was lovely. There was nothing dirty about it. There was nothing gross, slimy, none of those things. It was really respectable, all the things. And it was nothing like I thought in my head. And here I am almost 2 years later. And I did, in fact, tell my employer what I was doing. She's actually a GYN and she's very sex positive. And she said, well, just don't tell the patients. And as long as you're being safe with whatever that looks like, then do your thing. And then I finally had to give up that career because I was getting too busy with bookings. But I've found a majority of people, I've had a couple people I've lost, but in general, everyone's been incredibly supportive. And I feel like this is what I was meant to do. I feel like I'm being my authentic self.
Well, Jesus, we love an origin story at the end of the episode, but we love an origin story that's that fucking awesome. Addyson James, thank you so much for being with me on Sex Party. I have a million more questions. So as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to talk to you about coming back and we'll start the saga all over again. But okay. Thank you for being such a professional and sticking with this, booking, getting on the show, whatever. I appreciate it so much that you.
Thank you for sticking with me.
Yeah, of course. Well, I wanted you on and I can be a bit relentless. And so I just, I sort of just, oh, you can't make it? Here's the link. Whatever. Yep. Let's tell these party going people who are just, their minds are blown, where they can find you on social media and follow you. But more importantly, where they can find you on the internet and just like dump out tons of cash all over you for your services.
Sure. So my Twitter is Addyson_James. My Instagram is official Addyson James. And then I have a second Instagram page that is called The Desert MILF. And then my OnlyFans is Naughty Addyson, or the other one is Addyson James Free.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to have you back and we'll set it up here in a moment. Thank you so much for being on the show with me.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful. And I look forward to coming back again.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Big thank you to my guest, Addyson James, for being with me on the show this week. She will be back in the future, and you guys should all go check out what she's doing, not only on Instagram. Make sure you're following both of her accounts on Instagram. Obviously, go like her stuff, but go spend some money on her OnlyFans, on her Fansly, on her Loyal Fans, everywhere she is. Go have some fun. If you are loving guests like Addyson, but you're really loving all the guests. You're loving this show. You're loving Sex Party. You don't want to miss an episode. What can you do to show that love? Well, if you're listening to this on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could leave a rating. You could leave a review. I will know that you love the show. It'll mean a lot to me. But honestly, fuck it, because what you want to make sure you do under any circumstance is just make sure that you're subscribed to the show so you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday, especially if you're subscribed or you think you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts. They've been unsubscribing people from certain shows for whatever reason. So go to Apple Podcasts, go to Sex Party with Dustin, Rybka, upper right-hand corner. If you see a check mark, you're good. If you see a pause button, tap the pause button. Drop-down menu will appear. Toggle on down to resume subscription, resume download. Boom, you're resubscribed to the show. Enjoy the party. If you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, if you were directing a military veteran porn scene, what setting would you put it in the desert with tanks, in the VFW hall, on the battlefield, like something? Leave it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to make sure that you never miss a new episode, and you want to show some love or some hate to the show, what can you do? You could like this video, you could unlike this video, you could like and unlike all the videos. You could leave a comment. I will engage, whether positive or negative. But the main thing, as you know, is you want to make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday. Guys, I'm always available in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you all right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin @DustinRybka.